Hello and welcome to Aftermath Mirror Fighting's Sunday look back on Saturday night's fights. Please do give the video a thumbs up, and if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. Plenty of boxing and mixed martial arts content to come in the weeks ahead. There is, of course, only one place to start and finish this weekend. That is with UFC 254. Khabib Nurmagomedov defending his lightweight world title with a second round submission of Justin Gaethje, and then retiring. A mic drop to end all mic drops. Plenty to talk about. Starting with the fight itself, many people felt Justin Gaethje would be one of, if not the toughest challenges of Khabib Nurmagomedov's career. In the end, not so much. And I think a couple of sort of pointers to just why that was even more special a performance. One, of course, Khabib lost his father earlier this year due to complications with COVID-19, so therefore trained without him in his camp. And then it was revealed after the fight that he'd actually broken 3 bones in his foot and been suffering for months in the training camp. So the worst training camp of his career, his coach Javier Mendez was quoted as saying, which sort of just adds something special to the performance. A performance which, as I spoke about yesterday, was more evidence of just how Khabib swarms his opponents, just overwhelms them with wave after wave. You almost felt seasick just watching him. Right in the first round, he was just constantly pressurizing Gaethje, who constantly on the back foot, always moving, to be fair, looking to stay out of range and out of that danger zone, if you like. But because he was constantly going backwards, he was never able to set his feet, never able to properly land those shots that in the department that he was probably better, that being striking department with his hands and feet. And when he did throw, he was back to that sort of overarm, the big languid, really readable shots, rather than the more technical shots that we saw against Tony Ferguson earlier in the year. What he did manage to land, some of the leg kicks that we thought would be crucial. And he said afterwards that he reckons Khabib will be limping for a few weeks, but he again never really caused enough damage to sort of stop Khabib from coming forward. And then towards the end of the first round, only 2 takedowns Khabib went for in that first round, but managed to secure one towards the end of that first round. Round was up before he could sort of do any real damage, but the scene was almost set. Gaethje looked tired, having been on the defensive for so much of that round. Interestingly, 2 judges did give him that first round. I'd have to disagree with that. And then just over 90 seconds into the second session, Khabib shot for the takedown, actually as Gaethje went for the leg kick. Took his back, transitioned, secured the triangle choke. Gaethje tapped a couple of times, referee didn't see it, so in the end Gaethje did actually go to sleep. And the fight was over. So a great performance on one hand. And of course, as ever with any fight, in any discipline, you soon think about what's next. And Khabib, to the surprise, I think, of most people, announced he would be retiring from professional mixed martial arts after 29 fights. Now, of course, with any retirement, especially one in the immediate aftermath of a fight, there are always questions about whether or not the fighter will see it through. Often retirement, of course, comes in defeat, and therefore after some contemplation think, no, I've still got another run at a title, let's say, left in me. Khabib, of course, as I said, 29 fights, 29 victories. On one hand, he's basically done it all. It's very difficult to see what would have been next for him. But on the other hand, the manner of his retirement, the fact that he said he spent 3 days talking to his mum, sounds like he almost had to convince her to give him her blessing to fight this time. And there was never going to be another one after this because of his father and because he now wants to spend time with his mum. As I said, options limited. He has already, his last 3 fights proved to be the last 3 fights of his career. Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier, and Justin Gaethje all submitted, all very convincing victories. Of course, we will now never see the Tony Ferguson fight, but it would take a brave man to bet against Khabib fighting against anyone in the lightweight division. The other option, the one that was most talked about, was Georges St. Pierre, but he's been retired for so long, fought very little over the last 5, 6, 7 years, getting on a bit. There was no guarantee that fight was going to be made, no guarantee that fight would live up to some of the billing that had been going around. So really, although it came as a surprise in the manner of it, perhaps not if you think about the bigger picture. And of course, the bigger picture now involves the lightweight division suddenly blown apart with this retirement. Khabib so dominant for so long, always number one, and there was no clear, well, there now is no clear number two. Dana White, the UFC president, was very non-committal afterwards, didn't want to be drawn into a discussion as to what's next. It's very likely, I think, that Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor will meet for that now vacant lightweight title in January. The fight not officially signed, but assuming it is, it now has that added incentive, if you like, of the belt. One thing I would say, and of course there'll be plenty to talk about Conor McGregor in the weeks and months to come, but although he said on Twitter he will carry on, he's sort of paid his respects to his rival Khabib. But I wonder now if he feels a little bit emptier this morning, just because I think he's always tried to build himself back up for that rematch he so desperately craved. His whole idea of a season this year was designed to end with that rematch, either late this year or into next year. Of course, that was disrupted by COVID, Khabib's own career disrupted by COVID, and his personal life, of course. So I wonder how much hunger Conor McGregor has to really extend his career too long. I wouldn't be surprised. I imagine he'll fight Dustin Poirier, that belt on the line then. McGregor never defended a belt in his career, so I wouldn't be surprised if he then retired again, maybe to look to fight Manny Pacquiao in a boxing ring. But certainly, as ever, a very exciting division. Assuming that fight does go ahead for the title, you then have a list of contenders beyond that. Tony Ferguson, of course, will look to come back from his defeat by Gaethje. Michael Chandler, new into the UFC, yet to have a fight scheduled. You imagine that he will have one, and then look, if he wins that, look to then challenge for the belt. Justin Gaethje, of course, he is ready to go again. He said, listen, I was choked out, but physically I'm fine. He'll be good to go next year. And has said to Conor, if he wants to fight him instead of Dustin Poirier, then he's up for that. And Charles Oliveira as well, another name. There's plenty of options. And really, I think when Dana White gets back to Las Vegas and starts to plot out the future of the 155-pound division, he will find himself with plenty of options. And that can only mean plenty of exciting fights for us, the fans. That is all for me this week. We'll be back next week when we revert back to boxing with a look ahead to the Chisora against Alexander Usyk on Saturday, and then, of course, a recap on the Sunday. Please do join us then.